Hi guys! We're going to spend a few minutes talking about fractions and percents. And the I can statement we're working on is I can convert between fractions and percents. Let's check in on the Cyber Chase kids before we get started on our lesson.
Wait! Remember what the sign said? The crystal has to be between 65% and 85% orange, or it won't work.
You're right. We gotta find out what percent of these crystals is orange.
Let's do what we did before. Count the stripes to get the fraction of each crystal that's orange.
Yeah, then we can turn the fraction into a percentage, like we did with the scores.
This one is 1/2 orange.
This one is 3/5, and the last one is 3/4.
Now we gotta turn those fractions into percents. I mean, percents, right?
Yep, parts of 100. The first is easy. 1/2 is the same as 50 over 100, or 50%.
And 3/5 is the same as how many out of 100? Let's see. 3/5 is 6/10. And 6/10 is 60/100, or 60%.
The last one is 3/4, which is, what part of 100?
Well, 4 times 25 is 100, and 3 times 25 is 75. So that's 75 over 100, which is the same as 75%.
Percents really help when you have to compare different fractions.
They sure do. And only one of these crystals is between 65 and 85% orange. The 75%er.
Fire it up, Ditch!
Hacker, here we come.
So let's think about what the Cyber Chase kids did and turn 3/5 into a percent. First, they asked themselves, can they make the denominator 100? Kind of like when we were converting from decimals to fractions to decimals. Then, if so, they made the equivalent fraction. And in this case, if I multiply the 3 times 20, or 5 times 20, and 3 times 20, I can get an equivalent fraction, 60/100, and the numerator is my percent, 60%. Let's try another. What if I had 3/10? I'd first ask myself, can I make the denominator 100? If so, I would make an equivalent fraction. And in this case, I can multiply the numerator and denominator by 10 to get 30/100. And then the numerator is my percent, 30%. Now it's your turn. Try 13/20. Pause the video and do this work in your on your work section. Okay, let's move on. What if the denominator is not a factor of 100? I start off still by looking at this fraction like 3/12 and ask myself, can I make the denominator 100? If not, I turn my fraction into a decimal. And this is why it's so important to round to the hundredths place, because I don't want to forget to round to the hundredths place. So I'm going to take 3 divided by 12, which gives me 25 hundredths. I'm going to use the Dr. Pepper method now to convert my decimal to a percent, which is 25%. Or I can say 25 hundredths, and now I have a fraction with a denominator of 100, so I know my percent is 25. Let's try another one. 3/8. Can I make the denominator 100? I cannot, so I need to turn that fraction into a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator and rounding to the hundredths place. So in this case, when I take 3 divided by 8, I get 375 thousandths, and I need to round that to the hundredths place though. So that 5 tells that 7 to become an 8. So I'm going to use the Dr. Pepper method, or I get 38 hundredths, which I can write as a fraction, 38 over 100, to get 38%, or use the Dr. Pepper method to convert that decimal to a percent and get 38%. Now it's your turn. Convert 5/9 to a percent. Pause the video and do this in the work section. Now let's talk about turning percents to fractions. And this is very simple. Remember, percent means out of 100. So I take this percent, which I've been given, 65%. I give my percent a denominator of 100, 65 over 100. And then I simplify my fraction. And in this case, I can divide the numerator and denominator by 5 to get 13/20ths. And so 65% as a simplified fraction is 13/20ths. Let's try another. Remember, percent means out of 100. So if you're given 42%, you give your percent a denominator of 100 to get 42 over 100. Then I simplify the fraction. And in this case, I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 2 to get 21 over 50. So 21/50ths is equal to 42%. Now it's your turn. Don't forget, percent means out of 100. Pause the video and turn 78% into a fraction simplified in the work section of your notes. Okay, we're done with the video. You can go back and watch any part you want, or you can raise your hand and let me know you're ready for your work to be checked.